The powers of time: pause, fast forward, rewind, loop, shuffle, timestamp, slow motion, record, and teleportation. I know the last one caught you off guard because it definitely threw me off guard too, but they just pulled an Einstein quote and then never spoke of teleportation ever again. Either way, Fast Forward is a thriller manhwa, kind of like these. It got recommended to me by Zach McGill, and they said it's kind of like Mirai Nikki, but instead of diaries, it's powers of time. And reading the synopsis of Mirai, it does seem like it kind of got inspired by it. In the story, no one is necessarily the bad guy, at least in my opinion, because everyone had their reasons. Some reasons were more logical than others, but still. The story is also a little bit shorter than usual with only 59 chapters. I think they could have conveyed the story a lot better with more chapters, but I kind of respect that they didn't want to prolong it longer than it needed to be, for them at least. The story has a really good thrill factor, and if you're looking for a concise thriller story that you can finish in about a day or two, then you'll probably enjoy this. The manga starts off with Myungji Young, probably butchered the name, but still, our protagonist of the story. She can basically fast forward time, and when she does use her power, her body basically operates on autopilot. The world still runs the same, but it's just her mind just goes completely blank until she fast forwards to the time she wants to be in. And I know what you're thinking. This does seem like a power that you'll find on r/shitty superpower subreddit, and I can't entirely say you're wrong. Myungji goes to school, then back home, and skips most of her day using that power. Days come and go for Myungjin. Whether new students show up or other students talk to her or even her studies, she really doesn't care about anything, but she still does have a pretty close friend, surprisingly, who sits next to her every day and talks to her a lot. One day, she and her friend were walking back home. As usual, Myungji wanted to use her power to skip the trip back home, so she tells her friend that she's got a headache and she doesn't want to talk and just uses her power. After around half an hour, which was probably a split second from Myungji, she finds herself towering over her friend's dead body, holding a knife that's full of blood. Full of panic, she throws the knife and runs away. Next morning, a detective shows up to school asking around for information about the case, and the last person who saw her was Myungji, so the detective decides to ask her a bunch of questions, which of course she fails to answer most of them. Last minute, the new student shows up and saves her ass, basically, by lying. And even though the detective was still suspicious, I think it gave the detective enough reason to just leave them be. So after the detective leaves, the new boy explains what actually happened to Myungji. It turns out that he also has one of those powers of time, which is timestamp. He can basically see how long people have lived their life. And this power also sounds like a power that was from r/shitty superpowers. So he saw that Myungji's lifespan was way shorter than everyone else in the classroom, even though she had to repeat a year. So he decides to investigate her. After school, when Myungji and her friend were walking back home, her friend tried to kill Myungji to obtain her power. And I guess out of impulse, he decides to save her and ultimately kills her friend. And because he didn't want to seem like the bad guy, he basically gave the knife to Myungji while she was on autopilot and just booked it. He also explains that everyone who has a power of time has received a flash drive containing a video that explains what's going on. There are basically 9 powers of time and each person holds one. The power were gathered in one place, which is South Korea, and the whole purpose of this is to gather the powers into one person. And the winner gets to control time and space. I'm really surprised that not a lot of people talk about this manhwa. In my opinion, it does have elements that make a good story, and the fact that it has a concise story should add to the level of popularity, but I don't know why. I think that if you like thriller genre in general, then you definitely enjoy this. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you.